Welcome, everyone, to the January 25th City Council meeting. Welcome those of you who are here and those of you who are at home. The first thing up on this City Council meeting this evening is a public forum, as always. The public forum is an opportunity for individuals to speak to the City Council on any city-related issues, except for those items that have already been heard by a hearings official or are on tonight's agenda as a public hearing. Each person will have 3 minutes to speak. When you come to the podium, please give your name, city of residence, and for Eugene residents, your ward if known. The timer and lights indicate the time you have to speak. A yellow light will come on when you have 15 seconds to complete your comments. The red light indicates the end of 3 minutes. At this time, we have 4 people signed up for the public forum. So first up is, I hope he's feeling well tonight, Drix.
Thank you, Eugene. I'm not being very witty here. My name is Drix, and I live on High Street, and it's very nice to be here. I start to look at my life sometimes, and this is a highlight of my social life, so you can see what the rest of it is. Yeah, big time. Yeah.
Not sure what it says about all of it.
I know it. Well, hey, you're on the list too, you guys, so it's just great. And it just amazes me how many people, diverse as you'd ever imagine, comment on seeing me on TV. I don't feel like I'm on TV now. I mean, you guys don't. We're just part of our community in this wonderful forum we have, and they all say it. And the reason I come here, except for it's my part of democracy, is to inspire other people to show up. Public speaking is usually the most nervous thing people have until you finally realize that nobody cares. Nobody cares. They're all thinking about what I have for dinner, what's that pain, what's this. So coming here and sharing your ideas and wisdom with our community and this forum is just, it's how it works. And the future's coming, and boy, does it look different already. Speaking of which, I'd like to talk about my neighborhood. You notice I haven't looked at any notes. Let's see how far I can do that. My neighborhood is the West University Neighbors, WUN, so we call it the One to make it easier to spell, and also it has a unifying factor to it. Well, I like to think we're one of the smartest neighborhoods in Eugene because we've got the university and Northwest Christian College and a lot of LCC people and me. And together we make us very smart. And we're able to see the future as it's coming at us, and maybe we can inspire others. So we did something in our neighborhood last month. We passed an initiative, brought it up, seconded and all that, and we are now officially a metric neighborhood. I'm very proud to say. So the West University neighborhood has gone metric. What does that mean? Well, that means something that we all aren't sure of, which is pretty exciting, isn't it? I've done a lot of meditating and thinking on this, and pretty much across the board, none of us knows metric. It doesn't matter where you're coming from, what your business is, your background, you just, yeah. So we took the initiative, and we are moving forward with this. Next month, which would be in February, the first Thursday, I'd like to invite anybody that wants to come to our meeting. I'm going to bring a meter to the meeting. So everyone can see a meter and get an idea what the future looks like. It could be, yes, some are around. I'm not too sure. I have a friend who has a liter. I might bring that. But we are going to bring a meter and a baseball and an apple pie, so you have something to compare to it to get an idea. But since the rest of the world uses those things, it's a good idea we get started. It's a good idea we do it in Eugene, and it's a good idea that we do it right in the center of Eugene. So thank you very much for letting me talk, and have a nice week.
Thank you. Thanks, Drix. Good. Next is Zachary Vishnoi, followed by Majeska Seescreen.
Hello, Zach Vishnoi, Ward 3. Could you hand these out, and one for the city manager too, and one for the mayor? So I just wanted to bring your attention to this recent article about the proposed U of O dormitory, $75 million project, 16th and Moss would be the address, 450 students. The city engaged in agreement for parking around the U of O arena, and some people debate whether it's going to work, kind of Walnut Station parking district. And so that whether the arena parking is going to work in Fairmount is already a dicey thing. So the point is that this dorm site exacerbates that parking experiment around the arena. It's just a couple blocks from the arena. Usually there's this sense around here that U of O is an 800-pound gorilla. They'll build dorms wherever they want. We can't make them build downtown. And so U of O grows in a southeastwardly direction into the Fairmount neighborhood. You have a housing policy board here. I don't really know what they do. I don't think they talk about U of O dorm sites. I'm just here to urge Alan Zelenka or anybody else on the council who thinks that where U of O puts dorms for 450 students is kind of everybody's business, to appeal to them to create a city process. When U of O comes up with another mega project, there'll be more. This one is shifting around to different sites. It's already been delayed. So where the city will have a hearing here and televise a hearing. And so, ORI has a meltdown. That's a political meltdown right now. If you can get ahead with a process for citing U of O buildings and having a city hearing on that and televising it, then U of O will kind of grow in a way that will at least have the information on the table, the people will be involved. The process at the campus planning committee at the university is not user-friendly, it's not student-friendly, it's very hard to figure out what's going on. They're not involving students in the major decisions. So this is basically just kind of a plea to create a process for the university for citing buildings and a process for the public, because the university is kind of out of control, and the public, you read angry letters about it, but this would be a way of kind of looking ahead and maybe doing something downtown with LCC, both schools. So just that.
Thank you. Next is Majeska Seescreen, followed by Ezra Khalidi.
Majeska Seescreen, 5th and Van Buren. I wasn't planning to say anything tonight, but since there's so few people here saying anything, I guess I will, just to make it more worth your while having this public forum. So there's been a little something on my mind since the Friday when the AIS, the agenda item summary, was on the website for your Wednesday work session on the downtown public safety issues. I sat in the audience for a number of the task team meetings, and as you may know, I also try to stick my nose into things like the diversity and equity strategic plan document and process, and I happen to have been given the appendix, the public participation guide appendix to the diversity and equity strategic plan. And I understand that both of these are meant to be working documents, and so they're not like set in stone, and hopefully they'll get used and improved and developed. Well, I was really kind of surprised when I read over the AIS for the downtown public safety issues, and I feel like the way it was written is not really very sensitive to the youth in the way that the wording has been chosen. And I hate to say something that's like critical of the staff that worked so hard on this, but there's just a real disconnect between the kinds of documents that still come out and these other documents that are, hopefully all city staff are supposed to be trying to be more sensitive about all kinds of things that have to do with the, not average person out there. And just reading if you read through again your AIS, some of the places where youth are mentioned, if you would replace those words with like people of color, it's more obvious that something's a little wrong there, how it's written, the whole paragraph. There just hasn't been enough sensitivity to that. And actually, I think there is a lot of concern that the young people and other kinds of people who are often thought of as problem people downtown that they weren't actually involved very much in that whole task team process. And not like this public participation guide would have given advice from the consultants from the university, and also not like I think the diversity and equity strategic plan would intend. And I know that this is, you've got your work session, and then there's hopefully going to be some kind of process which will probably have some additional kind of stakeholders groups, and I hope that things are done better then. Thank you.
Thank you. Last one up, Ezra Khalidi.
Honorable City Mayor and the City Council. I'm here today to...
Give your name and address.
Oh, I'm Ezra Khalidi, and I live on 40th and Donald Street. And I am here today to talk about the traffic light, which I feel extremely necessary to be installed on right before entering the Ferry Street Bridge. While coming from Eugene and entering into the Ferry Street Bridge, because there is a slope right from the overpass, and then there is traffic coming from the 400 East 4th Avenue, that EWeb building, and around the rush hours it's extremely crowded, the long curved road. And those people, they want to get onto the Ferry Street Bridge as soon as possible, and there is very heavy traffic flowing on that overpass, also coming from Franklin Boulevard onto the Ferry Street Bridge. And about 2 years ago or 3 years ago, I had a real bad, well, it wasn't a bad accident, but I rear-ended in a truck which had a hitch. And the hitch went through the alternator, something like that, and it was a total loss of my car. And the insurance company increased my insurance rates to, unimaginable point. And I lost the car, I got my insurance rates increased, and still there is no way that the traffic coming from the 4th Avenue is controlled, because those people, they want to get onto that main street as soon as possible, and the traffic coming in here doesn't have the patience to slow down or to stop or yield. But anyways, there is no sign, nothing there. And the traffic is not even supposed to be yielding or letting the other traffic come onto the main street. So, but in front of me, it was a teenage girl whose dad himself was insurance agent, car insurance agent. So she was not held responsible for the accident, but I was held responsible for the accident and the increase in insurance rates. So I urge that there should be some stop signs, one after another, right from coming from the Franklin Boulevard onto the Ferry Street Bridge, and then there should be a traffic light, and there should be a four-way traffic light, like for the people coming from the 4th Avenue, from the EWeb building area, and also from the other area.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to close the public forum and thank everybody who came tonight, talking about neighborhoods and transparency of government, and I will look at our AIS in light of the things that you brought up tonight, and Majeska, and about traffic in our community. So thank you all for bringing issues forward for us. Councilor Zelenka.
So, Drix, it's glad to see that the one is going metric. So does that mean you're officially renaming front and backyards to front and back meters?
It's a slow night.
To directly address Zach's concern, I know we had a hearing for the arena, but that was after a pretty lengthy battle between the neighborhood and the university. and it involved a CUP. I was wondering, as city manager, my understanding is that if you have an explicit use for a zoning of a property, in this case public lands, that and if dorms are in that explicit use, there's no requirement for a hearing. Could you get back to us and see if that's explicit and outline those rules? Thanks.
Okay. Thank you. So the next item, did you want to speak? Oh. So the next item is a consent calendar, and I've already heard that we want to pull item A, the minutes, and we want to pull item C. So is that it? Anybody else have anything else besides A or C? I think both of those were from...
You have to put the motion on the table first.
Put the motion on the table. Go right ahead.
I move to approve the items on the consent calendar, pulling A and C.
Second, and I want to pull part of A also.
Okay. So we pulled from both sides here. From the left and the right. Ah, that's not a new position. Would you please vote? 8 in favor and none in opposition. It passes. Yes. The first item up is the approval of the city council minutes. Councilor Taylor, you have some minutes that you want
Thanks.
to...
I had one revision, which I already sent in.
Okay. So noted. Councilor Clark?
Thank you. The minutes of November 18th, page 7, third graph down, which Majeska was kind enough to point out to me earlier, and I appreciate that, is in response to a point I brought up in that discussion about neighborhood newsletters and the city's potential liability with any potential conflicts between neighbors and things that were published there. Glenn, I asked you something along the lines of what sort of, I think I asked you who is responsible for that in the case that there was a potential conflict or suit in that case. This answer, as it was captured, I don't think reflects your response, and I want to make sure that it's not confusing for legal purposes in any way. Where you answered, Mr. Klein noted that while it was generally unclear as to what the legal interpretation might be, courts would most likely hold the newsletter authors or publishers responsible for the instances of slander, libel, or misrepresentation. Who did you suggest would be the author or the publisher, since we pay for them?
My request to you is, rather than have me try to review this and tweak it on the spot, that you simply pull this set of minutes.
Okay.
Let me take a look at it and then suggest
Add it
something
to the
to
next.
you and add it to the next one.
Okay, that's fine with me.
Okay. So, we have to have any separate motion to pull the...
So do we move to table that, or do we move to...
Yeah. Mayor, you could just ask with the unanimous consent of the council, the November 18th minutes
Anybody
will come
object
back.
to that? Okay, fine, thank you. All right, and I just wanted to take note of the minutes of the 18th, that in your counselors present and absent, that I believe I was absent for that meeting. It's not noted on there. So those are 3 changes to be made. And so now we can vote for the other minutes. So would you please vote? Or did you want to say something else?
No,
Okay.
I just wondered if there was a
Okay.
motion.
Please vote. 8 in favor, none in opposition. So the minutes are taken care of. The second item, which I believe is Councilor Clark, is the appointment to the Lane Regional Air Protection Agency.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to make a comment that, much like our discussion the other night, I don't, of the Budget Committee appointments that we did Monday last, I don't have a problem with either of the candidates put forward here. They're both very qualified and look like very good and wonderful volunteers. My challenge is with the fact that all of the current citizen members of El Rapa are from Ward 2, and both of these selections are from Ward 3, which means that whomever is selected, the entire citizen membership composition of El Rapa will be in 2 wards from South Eugene. And I bring that up again because we have, as was noted earlier there, a diversity and equity strategic plan that all of us have been a part of. And action item 1.3 in that says, develop a strategy to ensure The city boards and commissions are representative of the demographic diversity of our community, and under item B, it talks about each board and commission achieving certain percentages of that with relation to specifically race, ethnicity, gender, disability, and representation by ward. And we had the opportunity the other day to begin to put that into play. With this one, we don't have yet what I see as an affirmative effort to try and reach that level of equity, and it's concerning to me, and I'm hoping that at least we're coming to some plan for it, or we're looking for some remedies to begin to achieve measurable amounts of equity by geographic diversity in our community, so that everybody feels heard and everybody feels represented in this kind of work.
Councilor Zelenka?
Mayor, were these the only two applicants for this position?
And
They-
we
and they
actually went out twice.
We went out twice, and we still only got two applicants, and they were both from Ward 3. And so we're choosing someone from Ward 3. Surprise.
Only other comment I would make, and then I'm going to call on Councilor Clark again, is one of the things we might want to consider is to look at, there's many things ward is one of many things you look at when you try to consider what kind of diversity you want on your boards and commissions. Certainly an important one, but not the only one. And secondly, that maybe because things like the LARAPA only have a small number, you couldn't have everybody represented from all the wards if you wanted to. So you might have to look more broadly across all your boards and commissions and see how we can kind of work toward that goal. Anyway, it's certainly something we need to keep working on, but it is not the only thing. Councilor Clark.
Thank you. Councilor Zelenka is right that the two applicants here are both from Ward 3. My point earlier was that we don't have, we've talked in several meetings over the last several years about how, and I was happy to do this sort of work on the Human Rights Commission, that having that responsibility to achieve that goal means having an affirmative policy to recruit. It means having an affirmative policy to try to reach that goal, and it means reaching out to people to try and accomplish and achieve that, so that the end result is a fair and broader and more comprehensive representation in the city's boards and commissions. And as I read just a minute ago, on all those categories, not just one, but on this one particularly, I think we have a glaring omission in our efforts, and I'd like to see us do more.
Councilor Ortiz.
Thank you. I had put myself in the queue, but I was voting yes. So
That was yes, you wanted to be in the queue.
yes, I wanted to be in the queue. So I don't disagree with anything Councilor Clark says about pushing forward other encouraging using the diversity strategic plan, but it just kind of resonates with me, because what I said the other night about, or last time that we met, I'm trying to think when that was, I guess it was this weekend, about having opportunities for people to follow their passions, because I think it's really kind of hard for people to want to volunteer for things that they have no knowledge of or that they don't see a value in. And so I would also hope that we can, however that looks, encourage that also, because people are interested in different things, and to have that opportunity for people to be able to say, okay, that resonates with me, I want to do that. And so I don't disagree with some of his comments, but I do think that, it is hard to get people if they're not passionate about something, so we have to find out what their passions are, I think, and then have something that's applicable for them.
I think at our goal-setting meeting, we actually were talking at one point about the myriad of volunteers we have in places all over this city, and hundreds and hundreds of volunteers who work in everything from volunteers in policing to the library. And I imagine there are, if we analyzed who was represented on every volunteer position in the city, we'd probably find some broad interest in some places for one passion and some broad interest in other places for others. I'm going to move on now to, I put forward Scott Lucas. I interviewed both candidates. They were both good. I had in-person interview with Scott and on the phone interview with the other applicant. I thought they were both very worthwhile. I questioned them about what I consider to be a really important thing about openness and willingness to work with people of different points of view. and I questioned them about what I consider to be very important in trying to preserve, not only have LaRapa do a great job, but keep it here as an important asset for our area and keeping our air quality. So I felt very, would have been happy with either one. I felt moved by Mr. Lucas because I thought he was going to bring some things to LaRapa that could be helpful with that. Small children, too, which I thought was a good thing to have in mind for looking at air quality as well. So I'm going to ask that Council President put the motion on the table, please.
Mayor?
The mayor's
No, it's
already,
on- it's already there.
on the table,
That's
yes.
right. Okay. Please vote. 8 in favor, none in opposition. It passes. Thank you all very much. Now that's it for this evening. We are done unless somebody else has something really clever to say. No?
Is this where we sing? Is this where we sing, Ellen?
Okay. Thank you all.